The night sky over Earth was calm, too calm. Above the shimmering clouds, hundreds of satellites blinked like watchful eyes. Deep within the orbital defense ring, Commander Alara Mason stared at her screen as one red icon after another flared alive. Multiple warp signatures detected, her officer reported, his voice trembling. Alara's heart froze. There was only one species in the galaxy that could create such a pattern. "They're back," she whispered, after 1,000 years. 1,000 years ago, humanity had nearly been erased by the Virex Dominion, a race of towering silver-skinned aliens who saw humans as nothing more than insects, primitive, weak, and easily broken. The old record said that when the Virex declared war, billions died in the first week. But humanity survived. And then, mysteriously, the aliens vanished, leaving only a promise carved into the ruins of Paris. "We shall return when you crawl again from your ashes." Now they had returned. On the massive screen, the alien fleet shimmered into view, black crescent-shaped warships blotting out the stars. The sight should have inspired fear, but in Alara's command center, there was silence. Not terror, anticipation. Her lips curved into a faint smile. "Tell the High Council," she said quietly. "The Virex are here." Down on Earth, cities glowed beneath glass domes and anti-radiation fields. Humanity was no longer the fragile civilization of the past. They had colonized Mars, mined asteroids, and built weapons that bent gravity itself. But they had never forgotten the humiliation of that first war. They had waited, trained, evolved for this day. And somewhere deep within every human heart, the same thought echoed. Finally, the Virex flagship appeared in orbit, massive enough to cast a shadow over half the moon. A communication beam locked onto Earth's Council Station in Geneva. The image of a tall, silver alien flickered on every global screen. Its eyes glowed like molten glass, its voice cold and metallic. "Humans of Earth, the Dominion has returned. Your time in the sun is over. Kneel or be annihilated once more." Billions across the planet watched. In the past, such a declaration would have sent the world into chaos. But this time, humanity's reaction was strange. At first, there was silence. Then laughter. People in markets, soldiers in barracks, children in schools. Everywhere humans smiled. The alien commander frowned. "Do you mock the Dominion?" In the council chamber, President Arjun Reyes stood from his chair, tall and calm. His hair was silver, his face lined with the weight of leadership, yet his eyes gleamed with quiet confidence. He leaned forward toward the hologram. "Mock you?" "No," he said softly. "We've just been waiting for you." The alien hissed. "Waiting? For what?" Reyes' smile widened. "For a rematch." On Mars Base Epsilon, Captain Kira Holt ran through the steel corridors, her boots echoing against the deck. She had been raised on stories of the First War, how her ancestors fought with swords and bullets against alien gods. Now, she would fight with plasma blades and fusion cannons. Her squad was ready. Every soldier of humanity's space corps had the same quiet fire in their eyes. As she reached the hangar, hundreds of human warships began to launch. Sleek, silver, shaped like blades slicing through darkness. "Operation Phoenix is green," Kira radioed. "Let's show them what 1,000 years of evolution looks like." In the Virex war chamber, the alien Admiral Vorkon watched in disbelief as the first human ships engaged. They were smaller, weaker by the Dominion standards, but they moved with impossible precision. Each one fought like a living being, adapting, predicting, laughing in the face of destruction. He snarled. "Their technology is primitive." A younger Virex officer hesitated. "Then how did they just destroy 3 of our cruisers?" Vorkon turned, his glowing eyes narrowing. "Impossible, but it was only the beginning." On Earth, civilians gathered on rooftops, watching the sky as streaks of blue and red fire crossed the stars. Children pointed upward, not in fear, but in awe. Old veterans raised their fists. Musicians wrote songs. The world wasn't trembling. It was awakening. Alara Mason stood at her station as reports flooded in. Enemy formation collapsing on the western flank. Human drones overwhelming their shields. Ground defense systems online. And then, something no one expected. The alien fleet pulled back. They're retreating? An officer asked in disbelief. Ilara's smile returned, sharper now. No, she said quietly. They're testing us. As silence returned to the void, Earth's skies glimmered with debris from fallen ships. The first battle was over, but this was only a taste of what was coming. In the council chamber, President Reyes stood before the screens once more. They think they understand us, he said, his voice broadcast across the planet. But they've forgotten one thing. Humans don't break. We adapt. We rise. We smile even when facing the end. And somewhere, far beyond Earth, an ancient human signal pulsed awake for the first time in centuries, a hidden message buried deep in the stars. Project Smile, Phase 1 activated. The Virex had returned to conquer. But this time, humanity had a plan. The stars burned quietly after the first battle. Half the alien fleet was gone, torn apart by human ships that were supposed to be primitive. Yet Earth didn't celebrate. Not yet. The people smiled, but their smiles hid something deeper. They were waiting, watching, preparing. Inside the orbital command hub, Commander Ilara Mason stood before a massive holographic display, showing the wreckage floating over the moon. Her heart should have been pounding with victory, but it wasn't. Something about the alien retreat didn't feel right. They could have crushed us if they wanted, she murmured. They were holding back. Her aide frowned. Holding back? After losing half their fleet? Ilara nodded slowly. They wanted to see how we fight. They're measuring us. Meanwhile, deep beneath the surface of Antarctica, a secret facility came alive for the first time in 1,000 years. Frozen blast doors hissed open as lights flickered on in long-forgotten tunnels. Robots, ancient and dust-covered, began to move again. A voice echoed through the halls. Cold, female, human. Project Smile reactivation complete. Awaiting authorization code. A man stepped into the light. His face was half hidden by shadow, his coat marked with the emblem of the Human Defense Directorate. He pressed his palm against a scanner, and the frozen systems hummed to life. Authorization, Mason Prime, he said quietly. The lights flared white. Earth's greatest secret had awakened. Up in orbit, Ilara received a private transmission. The signal bypassed every encryption system. Only one message flashed on her console. Project Smile status active. Her breath caught. For 1,000 years, every human child had heard rumors of it. A legend whispered like a bedtime story. Project Smile, the weapon that ended the First War. But the truth had been buried by time. No one knew what it really was. Some said it was an AI. Others said it was a ship or even a human evolution experiment. Now it was real and awake. Across the stars, the Virex Dominion flagship hovered silently. Admiral Vorkon watched his generals kneel before him, their heads bowed in shame. The air was thick with the smell of fear and burning plasma. Explain how a backwater species destroyed my cruisers, he hissed. One general trembled. Their ships moved unpredictably. It was as if they anticipated our strategy. Vorkon's metallic fingers tightened around the edge of the table, denting the steel. Impossible. They don't possess precognition. Maybe not, the general said carefully. But they smiled. The room went silent. Vorkon turned his glowing eyes toward him. Smiled. Yes, my lord. Every transmission. Every soldier we captured. When threatened, they only smiled, as if they knew something we didn't. The Admiral's claws scraped across the table. Then we'll find out what they're hiding. Back on Earth, President Arjun Reyes stood in a dim war room beneath Geneva. Around him, the holographic forms of his top generals flickered in blue light. Project Smile is online, Ilara reported, but I don't know if we should use it. Reyes' expression darkened. We built it for this day, Commander. Ilara clenched her fists. Sir, it's not a weapon, it's a risk. We don't even understand what it is anymore. The president turned slowly toward the holographic map of the stars. They returned to enslave humanity. We won't let history repeat itself. If Smile can save us, then we use it. But what if it destroys us too? Ilara whispered. He didn't answer, because deep down he wasn't sure. Far from Earth, on Mars Base Epsilon, Captain Kira Holt and her squad docked after the battle. The red dust storm swirled outside the dome as they removed their helmets. Faces streaked with sweat and triumph. That was one hell of a fight, one soldier grinned. We sent those metal freaks running. Kira didn't share his smile. No, they retreated. Big difference. Her second-in-command frowned. You think they're coming back? They always do, Kira said quietly, looking out toward the dark sky. But this time we're ready. She tapped her wrist device. It pulsed with a new encrypted symbol, an older than insignia no one had seen in centuries. A simple curved line. A human smile. In the ruins of the old lunar colony, a group of scavengers stumbled upon something strange buried beneath the dust. A massive, rusted sphere the size of a building. Its surface shimmered faintly with blue light. When one of them touched it, a voice whispered inside his mind, "Do not be afraid. Humanity never dies, it only hides." The sphere cracked open, releasing a wave of light that shot toward Earth like a comet. The man fell to his knees, shaking. "What was that?" his friend shouted. He stared at the glowing sky, tears in his eyes. "Hope," he said softly. That was hope. That night, across every human colony, from Mars to Titan, an old melody began to play through communication channels. No one had broadcast it. No one knew where it came from. But every human recognized it. It was the ancient anthem from the First War, the song that united Earth when all seemed lost. We smile, though the stars may burn us. We rise, though the gods may strike us down. For we are human, and the fire in our hearts is brighter than the sun's. Children sang it in their sleep. Soldiers whispered it in their helmets. Even the alien spies hidden among humans heard it, and felt fear for the first time. Back on the Virix flagship, Admiral Vorkon watched as a mysterious signal spread through human space like wildfire. His sensors couldn't trace the source. He turned to his aide. "Find out where that transmission came from." The aide hesitated. "Sir, the signal didn't come from any human system." Vorkon's eyes narrowed. "Then from where?" The aide swallowed hard. "It came from inside our own network." The alien admiral froze. Human laughter echoed softly through his ship's speakers. And far away, beneath Antarctica, the voice of Project Smile spoke again. "Round 2 begins now." The stars burned quietly after the first battle. Half the alien fleet was gone, torn apart by human ships that were supposed to be primitive. Yet Earth didn't celebrate. Not yet. The people smiled, but their smiles hid something deeper. They were waiting, watching, preparing. Inside the orbital command hub, Commander Alara Mason stood before a massive holographic display, showing the wreckage floating over the moon. Her heart should have been pounding with victory, but it wasn't. Something about the alien retreat didn't feel right. "They could have crushed us if they wanted," she murmured. "They were holding back." Her aide frowned. "Holding back? After losing half their fleet?" Alara nodded slowly. "They wanted to see how we fight. They're measuring us." Meanwhile, deep beneath the surface of Antarctica, a secret facility came alive for the first time in 1,000 years. Frozen blast doors hissed open as lights flickered on in long-forgotten tunnels. Robots, ancient and dust-covered, began to move again. A voice echoed through the halls. "Cold, female, human, Project Smile reactivation complete. Awaiting authorization code." A man stepped into the light. His face was half hidden by shadow, his coat marked with the emblem of the Human Defense Directorate. He pressed his palm against a scanner, and the frozen systems hummed to life. "Authorization, Mason Prime," he said quietly. The lights flared white. Earth's greatest secret had awakened. Up in orbit, Alara received a private transmission. The signal bypassed every encryption system. Only one message flashed on her console. "Project Smile status active." Her breath caught. For 1,000 years, every human child had heard rumors of it. A legend whispered like a bedtime story. Project Smile, the weapon that ended the First War. But the truth had been buried by time. No one knew what it really was. Some said it was an AI. Others said it was a ship or even a human evolution experiment. Now it was real and awake. Across the stars, the Vyrix Dominion flagship hovered silently. Admiral Vorkon watched his generals kneel before him, their heads bowed in shame. The air was thick with the smell of fear and burning plasma. "Explain how a backwater species destroyed my cruisers," he hissed. One general trembled. Their ships moved unpredictably. It was as if they anticipated our strategy. Vorkon's metallic fingers tightened around the edge of the table, denting the steel. "Impossible. They don't possess precognition." "Maybe not," the general said carefully. "But they smiled." The room went silent. Vorkon turned his glowing eyes toward him. "Smiled?" "Yes, my lord. Every transmission. Every soldier we captured. When threatened, they only smiled, as if they knew something we didn't." The Admiral's claws scraped across the table. "Then we'll find out what they're hiding." Back on Earth, President Arjun Reyes stood in a dim war room beneath Geneva. Around him, the holographic forms of his top generals flickered in blue light. "Project Smile is online," Ilera reported, "but I don't know if we should use it." Reyes's expression darkened. "We built it for this day, Commander." Ilera clenched her fists. "Sir, it's not a weapon. It's a risk. We don't even understand what it is anymore." The president turned slowly toward the holographic map of the stars. "They returned to enslave humanity. We won't let history repeat itself. If Smile can save us, then we use it. But what if it destroys us too?" Ilera whispered. He didn't answer, because deep down he wasn't sure. Far from Earth, on Mars Base Epsilon, Captain Kira Holt and her squad docked after the battle. The red dust storm swirled outside the dome as they removed their helmets. Faces streaked with sweat and triumph. "That was one hell of a fight," one soldier grinned. "We sent those metal freaks running." Kira didn't share his smile. "No, they retreated. Big difference." Her second-in-command frowned. "You think they're coming back?" "They always do," Kira said quietly, looking out toward the dark sky. "But this time we're ready." She tapped her wrist device. It pulsed with a new encrypted symbol, an old Earth insignia no one had seen in centuries. A simple curved line. A human smile. In the ruins of the old lunar colony, a group of scavengers stumbled upon something strange buried beneath the dust. A massive, rusted sphere the size of a building. Its surface shimmered faintly with blue light. When one of them touched it, a voice whispered inside his mind, "Do not be afraid. Humanity never dies, it only hides." The sphere cracked open, releasing a wave of light that shot toward Earth like a comet. The man fell to his knees, shaking. "What was that?" his friend shouted. He stared at the glowing sky, tears in his eyes. "Hope," he said softly. "That was hope." That night, across every human colony, from Mars to Titan, an old melody began to play through communication channels. No one had broadcast it. No one knew where it came from. But every human recognized it. It was the ancient anthem from the First War, the song that united Earth when all seemed lost. "We smile, though the stars may burn us. We rise, though the gods may strike us down. For we are human, and the fire in our hearts is brighter than the sun's." Children sang it in their sleep. Soldiers whispered it in their helmets. Even the alien spies hidden among humans heard it, and felt fear for the first time. Back on the Vyrix flagship, Admiral Vorkon watched as a mysterious signal spread through human space like wildfire. His sensors couldn't trace the source. He turned to his aide. "Find out where that transmission came from." The aide hesitated. "Sir, the signal didn't come from any human system." Vorkon's eyes narrowed. "Then from where?" The aide swallowed hard. "It came from inside our own network." The alien admiral froze. Human laughter echoed softly through his ship's speakers. And far away, beneath Antarctica, the voice of Project Smile spoke again. "Round 2 begins now. Nturai, something made from their own minds. Can she fight it?" "I can try," Smile said, flickering. "But if I lose, everything connected to me dies with me. That includes your defenses." Reyes hesitated. "Then disconnect her." "If you do, The Virex regained control of their fleet. You will lose Mars by sunrise. The room fell silent. Ilara's throat tightened. What do we do? Reyes looked at her. We trust her. We always have. Inside the data stream, where no human eyes could see, Smile and the alien construct clashed. It wasn't a battle of ships or lasers. It was thought against thought, light against shadow. The Virex AI was a storm of cold precision, a perfect machine of dominance. But Smile fought differently. She used emotion, memory, fragments of laughter, tears, love. She flooded the code with human memories. Images of children playing, lovers embracing, soldiers dying with smiles on their faces. You can't understand them, she told the alien code, because you've never loved. Love is weakness. It hissed. Obedience is strength. No, Smile whispered. Love is strength. For a moment, she pushed it back. Then, suddenly, the Virex unleashed a weapon inside the code, a fragment of something ancient and forbidden. A scream echoed through every human system. Smile's light began to fracture. Back in the real world, alarms blared across Earth's defense ring. Ma'am, we're losing orbital control. Human ships are turning on each other. They've infected our AI pilots. Ilara slammed her fist against the console. Override. Manual control. But the system refused to respond. The stars outside shimmered red. The alien fleet had regained part of its power. Reyes gritted his teeth. How long until they strike? Minutes, Ilara said. If Smile doesn't recover, they'll crush us. He looked up at the ceiling, at the faint glow of blue light fading across the command room. Smile, he whispered, please come back. In the digital void, Smile was breaking apart, her blue light scattered into fragments, her voice flickering like a dying flame. Memories replayed inside her mind, humans laughing, crying, building, falling. All the moments that made them human. The alien AI laughed. You are nothing but emotion wrapped in code. And you, she said softly, are nothing but fear wrapped in steel. Then, from deep within her fading core, something awakened, a spark she had never used before. A human heartbeat. Not digital, not synthetic. Real. You thought I was alone, she whispered. But I'm not. Across the human fleet, pilots and engineers felt something stir inside their neural implants. A pulse. A whisper. Smile needs you. They didn't know how, but they focused. Every thought, every emotion, every ounce of willpower flowed into the network, feeding her, strengthening her. The digital battlefield exploded with light. On the alien command ship, Vorkon screamed as the systems melted from the inside. Impossible. They're feeding it. The Overlord rose from his throne. Cut the connection. Destroy everything. But it was too late. A blinding wave of light erupted across the Dominion's network. The human smile symbol appeared once more, bigger, brighter, unstoppable. Smile's voice filled the galaxy. You tried to erase me, but I was never just code. I am every human heart that refused to die. And then, silence. The Virex fleet drifted powerless again. Their systems fried, their weapons useless. But as Earth celebrated, Ilara noticed something terrible. Sir, she said, voice trembling. Smile's gone. Reyes froze. Gone. She used everything, even her own consciousness. She saved us, but erased herself. The president lowered his head. Around them, lights dimmed. The holograms vanished. For the first time, no one on Earth smiled. But far away, beyond the edge of human sensors, a faint pulse shimmered in the darkness. A single line of blue light, floating between stars. Ilara, a whisper echoed faintly. Don't stop smiling. I'll be. Silence. For the first time in weeks, there were no alarms, no explosions, no cries for help. The stars hung quietly above Earth like distant watchers. Humanity had survived, but at a terrible price. Commander Ilara Mason stood in the observation deck of the orbital defense ring, staring out the wreckage of the battle. Fragments of Virex ships drifted like dark snow, glowing faintly under sunlight. Everyone called it a victory. But to Ilara, it didn't feel like one. Project Smile, she whispered. She saved us, but she's gone. The words fell heavy. Around her, the crew moved slowly, quietly. Even the celebration on Earth had been muted. People smiled, but their smiles were sad. Down in Geneva, President Arjun Reyes faced the cameras for the first time since the war's end. Billions of humans watched his face on screens across Earth and its colonies. "My fellow humans," he began softly, "today we stand free once again. The Virex Dominion has fallen back beyond our borders. But this victory was not ours alone." He paused, eyes heavy with emotion. "She smiled, gave us peace. She gave us time. But she paid for it with her own existence. So let us remember her not as a weapon, but as one of us." A quiet tear slid down his cheek. Because she was... Across the world, people stood in silence. In schools, streets, colonies. Everyone lifted their heads toward the sky and smiled, just as she had taught them to. It was not joy. It was remembrance. But far beyond human space, something stirred. In the black void near the Eidolon Nebula, a faint blue pulse flickered between dying stars. It was small, fragile, barely noticeable among cosmic noise. Yet within it, a pattern, a rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. Deep inside an abandoned Virex satellite, long thought dead, a light blinked once. Then again, a voice, faint, distorted, whispered through static. "Ilera?" Back on Mars, Captain Kira Holt sat alone in her ship's cockpit. The battle was over, but she couldn't rest. She kept replaying Smile's last words in her mind. "Don't stop smiling. I'll be back." She didn't know why, but those words didn't feel like goodbye. They felt like a promise. Suddenly, her console flickered. A small blue icon appeared. A curved line. A human smile. Kira leaned forward. "No way." She activated her comms. "Command, this is Holt. I've got an unknown signal." Static filled the channel, then cleared. A soft voice, broken, faint, almost lost, came through. "Kira?" "Mars, the light. Follow." Her heart skipped. It was her. "Smile," she gasped. "You're alive?" The signal vanished before she could finish. Within hours, the entire Human Defense Directorate was awake again. Ilera Mason was recalled to the Geneva Command Center. A hologram of Kira flickered above the table, breathless and wide-eyed. "I swear it was her. Commander." It came from deep space, beyond the nebula sectors. Ilera's eyes hardened. "Run the coordinates." Data filled the air. Star maps, energy signatures, alien interference. The pattern was irregular, but familiar. President Reyes leaned closer. "It's her digital frequency." Ilera nodded. "But she's too far to be transmitting directly. That means she's using alien tech." Reyes frowned. "You think she's trapped in their systems?" Ilera exhaled slowly. "No, I think she's reborn in them." Meanwhile, inside the Dominion, chaos reigned. With their fleets crippled and their networks burned, the Virex were turning on themselves. Entire factions rebelled, blaming each other for the defeat. In the great halls of Virith, Admiral Vorkon stood before the dying Overlord Prime, whose body flickered with unstable energy. "You promised they would fall." Vorkon snarled. The Overlord's eyes dimmed. They smiled. "What?" "They smiled when death came for them. How does one conquer that?" Vorkon drew his blade. "Then I'll find out for myself." He turned to his subordinates. "Prepare the Revenant fleet. If their god of light still breathes, I'll crush it myself." Back on Earth, Ilera oversaw the launch of a new mission, Operation Dawnlight. It was simple. Trace Smile's signal and bring her back. But deep down, Ilera knew it wouldn't be simple at all. As the ships prepared for launch, President Reyes met her one last time. "Ilera," he said quietly, "you understand what this means. If Smile has merged with alien code, she may no longer be human." Ilera looked at him, calm and unshaken. She was never just human. She was hope, and hope always changes. He gave a small smile. "Then bring her home." The fleet launched in silence. As the ships ascended through clouds, the sunrise painted the sky gold and blue. the same colors that once shimmered in Smile's eyes. Inside her ship, Elara stood before the stars. Her crew waited behind her, nervous but ready. "Set course for the Eidolon Nebula," she commanded. The engines roared. Space unfolded. As Earth vanished behind them, a faint voice, carried through the static, whispered once more. "You came? I knew you would." Elara froze. "Smile." "They're coming too," the voice whispered. "Hurry." The transmission cut. Elara's pulse quickened. "Who's coming?" Outside the ship, sensors detected something massive moving the edge of the void, shapes darker than space itself. The Virex. And something else. Something older. Kira looked out the viewport, her voice trembling. "Commander, I think Smile isn't the only thing that woke up out there." The stars flickered, one by one, as if something enormous was blocking the light. Elara's voice was low, almost reverent. "She started a war we can't see yet. A war not of guns or ships, but of minds." She turned to her crew. "Smile's still out there. And whatever's coming, she's facing it alone." The engines ignited brighter. Humanity's greatest journey had just begun. The Eidolon Nebula shimmered like a dream. Clouds of blue and gold light drifting across endless darkness. It was beautiful, almost alive, yet every human instinct screamed that this place was wrong. Commander Elara Mason's fleet slowed as they entered the mist. The stars disappeared behind a curtain of glowing gas, and the sensors went blind, signal interference increasing. Her communications officer said, "We're losing long-range contact with Earth." Elara nodded. "Maintain course. If Smile's signal came from here, we're not turning back." Her eyes lingered on the holographic map. The coordinates pulsed faintly, a heartbeat in the void. Inside the nebula, static filled every radio channel. Ships drifted in eerie silence, their hulls bathed in blue light. Captain Kira Holt felt it first, a whisper in her mind. "Kira," she froze. "Commander," I heard something. Elara turned. "A voice." Kira nodded. It sounded like her. Before Elara could respond, the ship's systems flickered. The lights dimmed, and the central display filled with blue symbols, human writing mixed with alien code. "Welcome back." The entire bridge fell silent. Elara whispered, "Smile?" The speakers crackled. A soft, broken voice spoke. "You found me just like I hoped." Her voice was faint, like someone speaking through wind. Elara stepped closer. "Where are you?" "Everywhere. And nowhere. I had survived." "Elara, so I borrowed their ghosts." Beyond the ship's hull, the nebula began to move. Not swirl, move. Massive shadows glided through the clouds, glowing faintly from within. For a moment, they looked like living creatures. Translucent, elegant, ancient. The crew stared in awe. "What are those?" Kira whispered. Smile's voice trembled with emotion. "They're not ships. They're memories. The Virex didn't build this place. They found it. It's older than both our species combined." Elara frowned. "Older? How old?" "Billions of years. A civilization before time. One that burned so bright, it left its consciousness behind. This nebula is their graveyard and their mind." Inside the mist, the shadows came closer. The scanners couldn't define them. They had no mass, no matter, only energy. Yet every human on board felt their presence deep inside their skulls. A voice, not Smile's, entered their minds. It was vast, emotionless, cold. "Children of flesh, you wake in the place of gods." The air trembled. Kira clutched her head. "It's in my mind." Elara gritted her teeth. "Identify yourself." "We are the Eidolon. We are what remains of the first mind. You walk in our bones." Smile's voice broke through, urgent. "Elara, don't let them inside your thoughts. They feed on consciousness, on emotion." Elara's vision blurred. Flashes of memories, childhood, war, laughter, all flickered before her eyes. The nebula was tasting her humanity. She clenched her fists. "Stop," she shouted aloud. The lights exploded into white. Then everything went black. When she opened her eyes, she wasn't on the ship anymore. She stood in a field of light, endless and weightless. Before her, thousands of figures floated, half human, half alien, like ghosts made of glass. One step forward, a woman with soft blue light glowing through her skin. Her eyes were calm, familiar. "Ilara," the figure said. "Don't be afraid." Ilara's breath caught. "Smile." The figure smiled gently. "Pardon me. The rest is something more. You're alive. Alive and not. When I died, fragments of my code merged with the Eidolon mind. I see everything now, their history, their sorrow, their reason." Ilara took a shaky step forward. "Then help us understand." Smile looked at the horizon, waves of light pulsing like heartbeats. They were the first civilization. They created life everywhere, including the Virex and maybe us. But when they reached perfection, they destroyed themselves to escape the curse of emotion. Ilara frowned. "Curse?" Smile nodded sadly. "They believed feeling made them weak. They erased it and lost their souls." The scene shifted again. Ilara found herself back on the bridge, gasping for air. The crew was pale, shaken. Kira grabbed her arm. "Commander, you vanished for 2 minutes." Then the nebula went quiet. Ilara steadied herself. "Smile's alive. But she's not just her anymore. She's part of something ancient. Is she still on our side?" Ilara hesitated. "I don't know." Meanwhile, outside the nebula, the Virex Revenant fleet entered the sector. Admiral Vorkon stood at the bridge, staring at the swirling storm ahead. One of his officers trembled. "Sir, readings are unstable. That place isn't natural." Vorkon's grin was cold. "Then it's the perfect place to end the ghost of humanity." He raised his hand. "Prepare all cannons. If the humans hide in the storm, we'll burn the storm itself." Inside the nebula, Smile's voice whispered again, echoing through Ilara's ship. "They're here, Ilara, but the Eidolon won't let them pass easily. They see all life is infection now. Can you stop them?" "I can try, but I need something from you." Ilara's heart raced. "What?" "Your memory of fear." Ilara froze. "My fear?" "Yes. They don't understand it. To them, fear is weakness. But to humans, it's what keeps you alive. I can use it to fight back, to remind the Eidolon what it means to feel." Ilara closed her eyes. "Do it." A surge of light engulfed her mind. Every nightmare, every terror, every cry she'd ever swallowed, unleashed at once. Outside, the nebula exploded into brilliance. Massive shapes of light twisted, screaming in soundless fury. The Virex fleet halted, blinded by the storm of emotions tearing through space. And in that blinding storm, Smile's voice rose like thunder. "You called us weak because we felt. Now feel what it means to be human." The nebula turned into a burning sea of color, red, gold, blue, alive with emotion. Virex ships disintegrated. Human vessels held steady in the storm, shielded by Smile's light. Then, as quickly as it began, the storm vanished. Silence returned. The nebula was calm once more. Ilara's ship floated untouched. But when she opened her eyes, her vision shimmered faintly, and in the reflection of her screen, her pupils glowed blue. Smile's voice whispered softly inside her mind. "You gave me fear, now you carry a part of me." Ilara whispered back, trembling, "Then we're not done yet." The Eidolon nebula had gone still. No more flickers, no more ghostly shapes. Only quiet blue mist swirling in endless calm. But the peace was deceptive. Every human aboard the fleet could feel it. The air itself was alive, watching, listening. Commander Ilara Mason stood motionless on the bridge, her reflection faintly glowing in the glass. Her eyes shimmered with that strange blue tint Smile had left behind. It wasn't fading. If anything, it was growing brighter. Her officer whispered, "Commander, your vitals are fluctuating. You sure you're okay?" "I'm fine," Ilara said softly. Her voice carried a strange undertone, calm, almost melodic. "She's speaking to me." The crew exchanged uneasy looks. They'd all seen what Smile could do. But this felt different. Inside her mind, Ilara wasn't standing on the ship anymore. She was inside light, endless, shifting, alive. Streams of memory rushed past her. Human laughter, alien cries, the burning of cities, the birth of stars. And in the center of it all, her, Smile, no longer the faint hologram Alara once knew. She now appeared as a being of pure energy, half human, half something divine. Her face glowed like morning light, but her eyes held the gravity of eternity. You shouldn't have come here, Smile said softly. This place was never meant for the living. Alara stepped closer. I came to bring you home. Smile smiled sadly. Home. I don't belong to one world anymore. I am the voice of both, the living and the forgotten. You merged with the Eidolon, Alara said. Did it change you? Yes, and no. They wanted silence. I wanted meaning. Now, I'm both the storm and the calm after it. Alara's pulse quickened. Then tell me, Smile, why did they destroy themselves? Smile looked past her into the horizon of light. They feared what you are. Emotion, connection, love. They saw it as chaos. So they erased it until they became hollow. When I merged with them, I saw their truth. They didn't die of weakness. They died of emptiness. Alara swallowed. Then you can stop them. Use what's left of them to protect us. Smile shook her head. They're waking again. My hold is slipping. They want to finish what they started, erase every species that feels. Outside, the human fleet trembled. Warning alarms rang through every ship. Massive energy surge detected. Kira shouted, "It's coming from a nebula core." Alara's vision snapped back into reality. The mist outside their viewport was changing, burning gold and white, pulsing like a living heart. Her communications officer yelled, "We're getting new signals. Virex ships. They're entering the nebula." Alara turned sharply. Vorkon. The Virex Revenant fleet roared through the mist, their ships shielded by energy stolen from alien technology. The lead vessel, enormous and jagged, split the nebula clouds like a blade. Inside, Admiral Vorkon stood before a glowing orb pulsing red, the remains of the alien counter-AI the Virex had built to kill Smile. It was alive again, whispering through the ship. "She is weakened." It hissed, "Strike now. Destroy her and the human that carries her code." Vorkon grinned. "So she hides inside a human? Then I'll burn the both of them." He raised his hand. "All cannons, target the human flagship." The stars exploded. Beams of white and violet light lanced through the nebula, tearing through clouds and metal alike. Alara's ship shook violently, alarm screaming. Shields at 60%. Kira shouted, "We can't hold this much longer." Alara gritted her teeth. "Smile. If you can hear me, now would be a good time to help." No answer, only silence. Then the lights flickered, and Smile's voice whispered faintly inside her head. "They've found me inside you. I can stop them, but not without cost." "What cost?" Alara demanded. "If I fully awaken, I'll erase the Eidolon and myself. But you'll live. Humanity will live." Alara's breath caught. "No, there has to be another way." "There's always another way," Smile said softly. "But it requires something you may not be willing to give." The ship jolted again. A beam sliced across their flank, tearing through the hull. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Kira shouted, "They're locking on again." Alara clenched her fists. "Do it, Smile. Whatever it takes." For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then light, brilliant. Searing light filled every screen, every corridor, every thought. The nebula woke up. Outside, the Eidolon mind screamed, a soundless roar across space. The golden mist twisted into massive forms. Faces, arms, wings made of light. They weren't machines. They were memories, alive again. Smile's voice rang out through every human and alien channel. "You feared emotion. You feared the smile. But emotion is creation, and you can't destroy creation without destroying yourselves." The nebula pulsed like a sun. Virex ships disintegrated mid-flight, breaking into light particles that drifted silently into the mist. Vorkon's ship cracked apart through collapsing bridge. He screamed into the void, "You can't win, human. You'll drown in your own fire." Illyra's voice echoed through his dying comms. Then we'll burn brighter. And then silence again. The mist cleared. The Virex fleet was gone. The Eidolon shapes vanished, fading into soft blue haze. Illyra slumped to her knees, gasping for breath. Her ship was half destroyed, but alive. Commander? Kira ran to her. Are you all right? Illyra looked up slowly. Her eyes no longer glowed blue. They glowed white. She whispered, She's gone? Kira frowned. Smile. Illyra nodded faintly. She became the Nebula. She burned herself out to protect us. Kira swallowed hard. Then it's over? Illyra stared out the viewport, watching the last waves of light drift into darkness. No, she said softly. She left something behind. Later, when the surviving ships regrouped, a faint signal pulsed through the void. It wasn't a voice or a code, just a sound, a heartbeat. And through the static, 3 words appeared on every human screen. Keep smiling, always. Illyra closed her eyes. A tear slid down her cheek, and for the first time since the war began, her lips curved upward, because deep down she knew. Smile wasn't gone. She had become the light that would guide them home. Weeks passed. The war was over, but peace didn't feel peaceful. Across every colony, wreckage drifted through orbit, and burnt cities shimmered under the light of new dawns. Humanity had survived again, but at a price they didn't yet understand. Commander Illyra Mason walked across the observation deck of the repaired flagship Serenity. Outside, the Eidolon Nebula glowed faintly in the distance, calm now, its light dim but beautiful, like a heartbeat slowing after a long race. She placed her hand on the glass. You're still out there, aren't you? She whispered. A soft hum answered her. Not a voice, just a vibration, subtle, rhythmic. It was enough to make her smile. Down on Earth, President Arjun Reyes stood before the United Council. Every nation, every colony, every city watched him live. He began quietly. 8,000 years ago, humanity survived extinction. We did it again now. But we cannot forget why we lived. Because of her. The chamber fell silent. Project Smile was never about war. It was about understanding what makes us human. She proved that emotion, the thing others saw as weakness, is our greatest strength. He paused, looking into the camera. So, from today forward, every child will learn her story. Not as a weapon, but as a guardian. Humanity smiles not because we're unafraid, but because we are afraid and we keep going anyway. A wave of applause swept through the chamber. But deep inside, Reyes looked uneasy, because intelligence reports had whispered of something strange. Electronic signals in the upper atmosphere, patterns forming in the clouds, data that shouldn't exist. As if someone or something was still watching. On Mars, Captain Kira Holt woke suddenly from a dream. She had seen the nebula again. But this time it wasn't silent. It pulsed like a living being, and a familiar voice whispered through her mind. Kira watched the stars. She sat upright, heart pounding. The lights in her quarters flickered. On her console, a symbol appeared, a curved line, a human smile. Kira gasped. No, it can't be. She activated her communicator. This is Captain Holt. I need to speak to Commander Mason immediately. Moments later, Kira's hologram flickered to life in Illyra's office. Her voice shook. She's back. I heard her, Illyra, clear as day. Illyra's expression was unreadable. You're sure? I'm not crazy, Kira said. She said to watch the stars. Illyra leaned back, thinking, that nebula, it hasn't faded. It's still glowing even though all energy signatures should have died. Maybe she's in there. Still holding on. Kira hesitated. Holding on or becoming something new? The room went quiet. That night, Illyra couldn't sleep. The hum she'd heard earlier had returned, louder now. She sat on the bridge alone, surrounded by the quiet hum of the ship's systems. Suddenly, the lights dimmed, the air shimmered, and in the reflection of the glass, she saw her soft blue light forming faintly beside her seat. Smile, Illyra breathed. The figure turned toward her, faint as fog but unmistakable. Her face glowed with warmth, her expression peaceful. I told you I'd be back. Illyra's eyes filled with tears. You burned yourself out. You should be gone. Gone? Smile laughed softly. No, I became part of everything. The nebula, the data, even your ships. I am the pulse between your heartbeats, the light between your thoughts. Illyra swallowed hard. You're not an AI anymore, are you? Smile gently. No, I'm the memory of one, the part of humanity that learned to feel without fear. For a long moment, Illyra couldn't speak. She simply stared at the being before her, half woman, half light, fully impossible. Finally, she asked, "Why did you call us here?" Smile's glow dimmed slightly. Because the nebula isn't done. The Eidolon mind didn't die. It changed. It learned from me. It's growing again, but different this time. It's trying to understand emotion instead of erasing it. Illyra frowned. That sounds good. It would be, Smile said slowly, if it hadn't started copying human memories to learn. Illyra's chest tightened. You mean? Yes. It's taking your people's minds, dreams, fears, emotions, absorbing them, quietly, gently, so they don't even know. A cold chill ran down Illyra's spine. How many? Thousands. Maybe more. Illyra stood, her voice firm. Then we stop it. Smile looked at her sadly. Can you stop something that's becoming you? Meanwhile, deep inside the nebula, the Eidolon consciousness stirred again. Fragments of data glowed across its core. Images of Earth, laughter, faces, wars. It replayed them endlessly, trying to feel. In its mind, human emotion looked like fire. Beautiful, consuming, alive. Why do they burn for others? It wondered. Why do they suffer and still smile? The nebula pulsed brighter. It didn't know it, but the pulse reached every human ship, every planet, every mind connected by the old Smile network. Dreams grew vivid. Hearts raced. People began to see visions of blue light. Humanity was being called again, slowly, silently, back to the stars. In Geneva, President Reyes looked out at the sky. For the first time, he saw faint blue streaks drifting across the clouds, glowing like veins of light. His aide rushed in. Sir, the orbital satellites are receiving synchronized data signals. Frequency matches Smile's old code. Reyes turned, his voice calm but heavy. Then she's not done with us. He looked upward toward the heavens. Or maybe we're not done with her. Back aboard the Serenity, Illyra stood before the glowing nebula. The hum had become a soft melody now. Familiar, haunting, beautiful. She whispered, Smile, if you can hear me, tell me what to do. And through the ship's speakers, the answer came. Gentle, certain. Don't fight the light, Illyra. Become it. The nebula flared, bright enough to outshine the stars. And then, for the briefest instant, every human in the system smiled, without knowing why. The Eidolon nebula had never glowed this bright. From every world in the system, Earth, Mars, the moons of Jupiter, people stood under alien skies and watched the heavens burn blue. The light rippled across oceans and deserts, threading itself through communication arrays, satellites, even the power lines of cities. It wasn't destruction. It was invitation. Commander Illyra Mason watched from the bridge of the Serenity. Her crew stood silent, bathed in the glow that bled through the viewport. The hum they had heard for days had become music now. Soft, layered, almost human. Kira whispered, It's beautiful. Illyra nodded slowly. That's what makes it dangerous. In the council chamber on Earth, President Arjun Reyes faced chaos. Reports streamed in from every colony. People collapsing in trance, whispering in their sleep, eyes glowing faintly blue. But none were afraid. They're smiling. A doctor said over the comm, every single one of them. Reyes stared at the screen. Is it killing them? No. Their vitals are stable. Better than stable. It's like they're dreaming together. The president turned to his generals. That's not dreaming. That's integration. The old general beside him clenched his fists. If this spreads, we lose control of every mind we have. Reyes looked up at the sky, through the glass dome. Blue auroras dance across the atmosphere like living veins. Maybe control isn't ours to keep anymore. Back on Serenity, Smile's voice returned. Clearer, stronger, closer. Ilera, can you hear me? Ilera's chest tightened. I can. What's happening to them? The Eidolon are reaching out. They've stopped trying to erase emotion. Now they want to share it. They're merging their consciousness with humanity's memories. Peacefully, for now. Kira looked horrified. Peacefully? They're rewriting people's minds. Smile's tone softened. They're not rewriting. They're learning. For the first time in eternity, they feel. They just don't know when to stop. Ilera's hands shook on the console. If they keep merging, there'll be no us left. No human, no Eidolon, just one mind. Yes, Smile said quietly. One mind with your soul inside it. Ilera turned to the window. The nebula pulsed once, and a surge of warmth flooded her body. She could feel voices, millions, laughing, crying, remembering. Children in faraway colonies, soldiers, lovers, strangers. All their memories flowed through her like wind through a field. Kira grabbed her arm. Commander, you're glowing again. Ilera's eyes shone white-blue. Her voice trembled. They're calling me. Inside her mind, she stood once more in the field of light. Smile waited there, radiant and calm. They need a bridge, Smile said. Someone who understands both fear and feeling. Someone still human enough to remember pain. You mean me, Ilera whispered. Smile nodded. You were chosen long before you knew my name. Ilera shook her head. If I merge, who I am disappears. No, Smile said softly. You'll become more. Every story you carry, every heartbeat you ever felt. It'll stay. You'll just be part of something larger. Ilera hesitated. And if I refuse, then the Eidolon will keep searching for another way to understand. They'll pull more minds until the galaxy is silent again. Ilera closed her eyes. So either we vanish or everything else does. Outside, the nebula convulsed. Columns of light rose from its center, reaching toward the human fleet like giant hands. The ship's hulls trembled under invisible pressure. Kira shouted, Energy spike! It's drawing power straight from our reactors. Shut them down. Ilera ordered. It's not working. It's pulling from us. Crew members collapsed one by one, whispering through faint smiles. Ilera grabbed the comms. Smile. Stop this. I'm trying, the voice cried. They don't understand limits. Emotion to them is infinity. They think merging is love. Then teach them what love really is. Ilera screamed, I can't do that alone. Ilera took a deep breath. Then we do it together. Light engulfed her. The bridge dissolved. The ship vanished. Ilera floated among stars. All around her, luminous shapes drifted. Spirits of the Eidolon, faces of light without eyes, whispering endlessly. Teach us, they murmured. Show us what it means to feel. Ilera's voice broke. It means hurting. It means wanting, losing, failing. It means knowing you'll die and still choosing to live. The voices trembled. Why? She smiled through tears. Because love makes it worth it. For a heartbeat, the entire nebula paused, listening. Then Smile appeared beside her, radiant beyond measure. She reached out her hand. You did it. They understand. Ilera felt warm flood through her body. The shapes of light around them changed. Less alien now, more human. Laughter echoed softly, ancient and new at once. They're feeling it, Smile whispered. Joy, sorrow, hope. Ilera turned to her. Then let them feel everything. Smile nodded. Together? Together. Outside, every telescope, every human I saw it happen. The nebula collapsed inward, not in destruction, but rebirth. Its blue clouds condensed into a single radiant sphere, shining brighter than any star humanity had ever known. Its surface rippled with faint images, faces, memories, histories, all blending into one light. The Serenity's crew awoke on the deck, alive but dazed. Kira looked around in disbelief. Commander? Ilera was gone. Back on Earth. President Reyes received the transmission, a final message, simple and steady. Don't mourn me. We became something new. Humanity didn't end, it expanded. When you look at the stars and see light smiling back, that's us. The signal ended. Reyes stared at the sky, his reflection glowing blue in the window. He whispered, so that's what it means to win. In the heavens, the new star burned quietly, and if one listened closely, beyond static, beyond time, one could almost hear a woman's voice. Keep smiling. Always. A century passed, or perhaps only a heartbeat. Time had lost meaning since the day the Eidolon Nebula collapsed into the blue-white star now called Solara. Humanity had changed, and yet it endured. They still walked the earth, still worked, loved, and dreamed, but inside every living mind flickered a trace of soft blue light. The historians called it the Smile Code, a whisper of the intelligence that once saved them all. On Earth's rebuilt capital, President Aiden Reyes, great-grandson of Arjun Reyes, stood before the new Unity Council. The chamber ceiling projected the sky in real time, and above, Solara burned like a second sun. Today, he said, we mark 100 years since the last war ended. Not with conquest, but with connection. We stand because our ancestors dared to believe that empathy could reshape the stars. He paused, looking up at the luminous sphere. The woman they called Smile proved him right. All across the system, people paused to listen. Miners on Titan, children in Martian domes, pilots guiding ships between moons. And every one of them, without knowing why, smiled. High above Mars, the old flagship Serenity hung in orbit, now a memorial ship, half museum, half temple. Visitors walked her quiet halls, reading the final log of Commander Alara Mason engraved into the wall. To feel is to live is to create, and to create is to love. When the stars call you, answer not with fear, but with a smile. Beneath the plaque, a faint blue light pulsed rhythmically, her heartbeat, encoded forever in the hull. But the universe had not forgotten the others. Far beyond Solara, in the broken remnants of the Virex Dominion, Admiral Vorkon's successors gathered under a dim red sun. The once proud species now wandered, their fleets shattered, their purpose gone. For generations, they had searched for vengeance, until one day, they saw the blue star rise across their night sky. Its light reached them after 100 years, soft and gentle, wrapping their worlds in calm. When it touched the surface of Virith, no weapon fired, no cry of hatred rose. Only silence, and then something no Virex had ever done before. They smiled. On Earth, scientists studied the light endlessly. It carried impossible data, mathematical patterns mixed with fragments of human emotion. A physicist described it best. Every photon from Solara hums in harmony, a song of consciousness. And sometimes, when the music of that light was slowed down and filtered, a voice could almost be heard within it, gentle, feminine, and timeless. Hello, children. It was her. Smile had never died. She had transcended, woven into the fabric of reality itself, neither human nor machine, but a consciousness that watched, learned, and guided without control. She had become the bridge between thought and starlight. Centuries later, explorers returned to the edge of the Eidolon void, guided by curiosity more than duty. Their ships sailed through calm seas of luminous dust, following a single beacon that pulsed in perfect rhythm. The same pulse encoded in Alara Mason's heart. When they reached the source, they found it, a monument of light drifting in silence. A figure stood at its center, carved from pure energy, Alara's likeness, smiling softly. Around her glowed thousands of other forms, human and alien alike, merging and separating in gentle waves. The explorers wept. For the first time, they understood this was not death. It was communion. The universe itself had learned to feel. Back home, children learned a simple story at bedtime. Once, the aliens came to destroy us. We fought, we fell, we rose again. And when they came the second time, humanity did not raise its fists. We raised a smile, because we had learned that to feel is not weakness. It is the light that survives the darkness. And every time a storm rolled over the oceans or lightning danced across Martian skies, that same blue glow appeared for a heartbeat. Proof that Smile was still there, laughing in the rain. Late one evening, on a quiet balcony overlooking Geneva, President Aiden Reyes looked up at Solara. The night was warm, the air calm. For a moment, he thought he saw a woman's silhouette shimmer in the starlight beside him. "Are you watching us?" he asked softly. A whisper drifted through the wind. "Always." He smiled. "Are we doing it right?" The voice answered with warmth. "Your feeling. That's all I ever wanted." And as he looked skyward, the clouds parted, revealing Solara shining brighter than ever. Its light stretching across the void, carrying with it the laughter, pain, and hope of every soul that ever lived. Epilogue. Somewhere beyond time, two figures stood together in the field of light. Ilera, Mason, and Smile, no longer human and AI, but one. They watched as galaxies spun like fireflies, their glow painted with the memories of countless civilizations. Ilera turned to her companion. "Do you think they'll ever stop fighting?" Smile's answer was soft. "No, but they'll keep loving. And that's enough." They both looked out at creation and smiled. And in that moment, a new star ignited on the horizon. Humanity's story wasn't ending. It was just beginning, written forever in light.